Hello, everyone. In session with Ms. Julie Smithson, who's the Chief Learning Officer at MetaVRse. The topic that she's chosen today to speak upon is creative design process for immersive technologies. We're very thankful to Julie for taking time out at this very odd hour. It's in the middle of the night in Canada, and yet she's vibrant and energetic to talk to all of us. And we really thank you for that, Julie.
Oh, you're welcome. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
So I'll briefly go ahead and introduce you to the participants here. Julie has a very interesting background. Her studies are in human resource and hospitality management. Now she's pioneering her way into doing very interesting things in XR, augmented reality, and virtual reality. Her mission in life is to democratize education by the year 2040. And she started nowhere else but in her own backyard. When her daughter Abby was 9 years old, Julie and her husband Alan helped her become an entrepreneur. She launched at the age of 9 something, Love Sandals. So sandals that are designed in the shape of heart. And Abby, I think, went on to become one of the youngest entrepreneurs in Canada. So kudos to you, the family. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Julie's also a great disruptor in creating young entrepreneurs, helping established industries into the XR space. And without much ado, without taking much time, I think I'll pass on the baton to Julie to take it on from here. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Rajesh and Pathasarathi, for having me. It's an honor to be here. I'm going to get my screen set up so you can see my presentation. And my plans today are to go through a little bit of this presentation and then dive into a game engine that I hope you will find creativity and the inspiration to be creative. So I just want to confirm everybody can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, great. And I'm just going to position something over here. So here we go. Okay. Welcome, everybody. So my name is Julie Smithson, and I'm the Chief Learning Officer at MetaVRse. I'm the co-founder of XR Ignite and the producer of XR Collaboration. I'm a member of the VRARA and student and education co-chair also with the XR Bootcamp Advisory, working to build out XR talent with enterprise and education, as well as an Educators in VR member. So I'm really happy to be here, and just a little bit about me and the MetaVRse family. We have a bunch of different family arms, shall we say, starting with our MetaVRse strategy and consulting and product development company. We started that about 5 years ago, and we started just getting to know the technology, diving deep into the different technologies itself, 360 video, VR, AR. We developed a VR photo booth at the time, just really getting to know the industry as it started to grow. And then we also have the MetaVRse engine, which we will talk a little bit more about today. And that's built, it's a creator tool for education and enterprise. So we'll talk about that one farther into the presentation. We also have XR Ignite, which is our community hub and accelerator for startups looking to partner with enterprise. And XR Collaboration is out of there, which I will also overview a little bit about those resources. And then we also have the XR for Business and XR for Learning podcasts. I run the XR for Learning podcast, and my partner and husband, Alan, runs XR for Business. It's where I have learned a lot of my own knowledge base and understanding how XR technologies apply to multiple different industries and applications and use cases. So there's some resources there for you to take a look at. As Rajesh said, our mission here at MetaVRse is to democratize education by 2040. And in this, it's our mission to inspire the next generation to think and act in an economically, socially, and environmentally sustainable way, leveraging the most advanced technologies and tools in the world. So let's talk about the immersive technologies. First of all, we've got the 2D view. We can all see them in our smartphones. But then there's virtual reality, where you put the headset on and you're completely immersed in that technology, and the surroundings in your skybox. Everywhere you look is an image, a digital image around you. You're completely surrounded off from the rest of the world. Augmented reality is what you use on your phone through your devices. You may have tried Snapchat filters or different marketing applications where augmented reality is presented in a digital form in front of you. Mixed reality is used with the headsets that, like the HoloLens or Magic Leap, where you have a digital layer presented in front of you where you can see the real world. And there's a lot of different use cases for those, so we'll talk about those in a minute. And then of course there's a 360-degree view, which can be recorded or filmed using a 360 camera and then displayed in a 3 degrees freedom perspective. So just talking about the amount of devices that are out there globally, there's over 7.5 billion devices that are 3D enabled. And this really does present the amount of devices that are out there that can apply to presenting 3D and augmented reality. So why XR and why now? Well, if you could take a look at this chart, you can certainly see that the personal computer came into our lives in the 1990s. Mobile took over in the 2000s, and XR then is starting to take off in 2020, and we're expecting a really hyper accelerated next 10 years as the adoption grows immensely. So just a second. There we go. Education and business today. So COVID-19 has forced us apart, but technology makes it possible for us to learn and interact with each other while remaining physically distant. And this is a quote from XR Collaboration, where the tools of learning how to remotely collaborate using the technologies are available to you. So just a little bit about COVID acceleration. Nike, for example, is targeting its e-commerce sales accounting for 50% of overall sales in the foreseeable future. And this has actually grown from the originally anticipated 35% of sales that were being accounted for. So already we're seeing one of the biggest retailers in the world already witnessing and projecting out the fact of selling their products online. So a little bit about 3D and ROI. There's some numbers there you can take a look at. You know, with commerce, there's already 2.5 sales conversion and decrease in product returns of over 80%. Marketing is already seeing, you know, higher click-through rates and conversion rates, and training in the retention rates and the reduction in training time is also improving. So at an enterprise level, they're already starting to see the value of having this technology. So the use cases of the immersive technology can be anything from engineering, product design, where you see a lot of data visualization, education and training, anything from anatomy to being a part of a science lab, retail marketing, e-commerce. That's where you start to see packaging and marketing gimmicks of using augmented reality to engage the user into an experience about the brand. Industrial certainly has a lot of training applications, overlaying data on machinery for health and safety purposes or remote support. Healthcare, medical, and mental health, certainly surgical training. There's a lot of medical applications for this technology. And of course, entertainment, which always makes it fun and engaging and really testing the maximum possibility of what this technology can do and how it can immerse ones into that experience. So mixed reality is helping solve some of these foundational business problems that are out there. Everything from remote assistance, training and task guidance, collaborative visualization, and contextualization of the data that they're starting to see come in. So what does this mean? This means that brands are starting to use this technology to engage with their customers and their employees as well. So IKEA, for example, you can place, the furniture in your space. MetaVRse has AR for cosmetics and face filters. Restaurants are starting to do augmented reality menus where you can engage with the different meal types and designs. And engaging in retail and taking a look at products a little closer and being able to, take a look at every single perspective. 19 Crimes. I'm going to skip over this one a little bit, but maybe if you want to, actually, I'll see if it'll play. I don't think it will. Oh, there we go. So what you see there is 19 Crimes wine. They've projected an image, an augmented reality image on the wine bottle itself to tell a story about that prisoner back in the olden days, I guess, and a little bit about history. So just being able to engage with the user and using this technology to tell a story is really compelling. Lowe's is using in-store navigation with GPS, just something simple, but where is that lamp? Where are those screws in the store that you need? And there's so many things to find, and this navigation app will help you get there. Interacting with characters from Westworld is also, an opportunity to engage with the user in a creative way. And I guess this all comes back to why 3D and how are we going to use these assets and experiences? How are we going to build with them? And 3D actually builds connections with the consumer and the user and offers depth and dimension, interactivity. You can gamify things and interact with motions and animations because it simulates the real thing. It stimulates and supports business and education applications, and it makes things fun, and it sparks curiosity for sure. Gives a different perspective, which we do live in a 3D world, so why not use it? And we do have access to 7 billion 3D enabled devices. So using this technology into different ways of designing means we go from the pixel to the voxel. So instead of thinking in 2D, now you start to think in 3 dimensions. And if using virtual reality or designing for virtual reality, you need to start to think about the X and the Y axis. X goes back and forth, Y is up and down, but then there's also the the Z axis, which moves forward and backwards. And that allows you to have the degrees of freedom in the immersive technology setting that you're in. So coming back to the creative part, our most powerful skill is the unique ability to be creative. And, oh, that's very loud. Okay. Sorry, let me start again there. So our most powerful skill is our unique ability to be creative. And that's the process of having the original ideas of your own, considering imagination and putting new ideas into practice. So I know that's why all of you are here today, is to learn, what does the new creative design process look like for XR? Having to design all of these things in a virtual space or in using immersive technologies. Now you have to think a little bit more about the spatial design. So considerations when you're building XR need to begin with just being device agnostic. And I'm not going to get too much into the hardware today, but it's certainly a consideration of how you're going to deploy your experience. Having natural interactions or enterprise security, there's performance analytics, and being contextually aware in what's in the experience itself, and having real-time collaboration, and also then the digital asset management. So those are all real considerations when you're building out XR. So the first step in designing 3D for XR is building in 3D. And that's understanding more about the spatial presence of things inside your space. So you need to start to think more about depth and dimension, multiple perspectives, and the creative design itself. So you need to start thinking about assets, and all of those things that you saw in the examples that I showed you with all of the enterprise use cases. We're using assets, and the 3D assets actually have mesh that overlay over each and every one of the images that you see in the experiences. And these mesh, the mesh that is overlaid over these pieces that are in the experiences is what leads to building textures and beginning that creative process of being able to design what you'd like to see in your experience. So I'm going to stop here for a quick second, and if you want to pull out your device, if you have a separate smartphone, you can also screenshot this, or you can actually find it on our website as well. But this QR code will actually take you to our showcase page on the MetaVRse.com website. And it's there that you're able to try some of our demonstrations of 3D models in your space. So when you open up this QR code, it will take you to a couple of different options. And this is one of them, is the Nike shoe, where you're able to customize your own designs and then present them into your space in augmented reality. So in 3D, you're able to redesign from every single perspective of an asset. And I hope you enjoy some of the demonstrations that you'll find there. There's a G-Wagon vehicle that you can put into a driveway and take a look right inside and open the doors and run the different rims on them. And even there's a couch configurator as well as a room configurator. So lots of different examples for you to try 3D, and look forward to hearing what you think about them. Thinking in 3D means that you need to think in a different perspective, your spatial perspective. And just like Lowe's Hollow Room, they use a device to project out what's it going to look in that space. So if you start to think that way in thinking about models and how 3D models will become part of that software. The 3D.
Sorry, just everyone needs to keep your mic on mute, please. That distracts. Sorry, Julie, please.
That's okay. That's okay. Thank you. So starting with creating your 3D model assets and becoming creative, you need to understand more about the software and how things work. So first of all, there's the 3D model creation software. So any of these softwares here, you can actually build 3D models in them. And then there's 3D model stores where you can actually find free models, or you can buy more intricate models, and they come in packages. And you'll see in a couple of minutes when I do a demonstration how they come in the actual files and then the texture packages that allow layers of realism to be put onto your 3D assets. 3D model formats is something that you'll need to know. Unfortunately, we do have multiple amounts of formats that we're trying to mainstream into converters and try and put those standards into place. But obviously, we're still very early in the game that there's various formats out there. We tried to narrow ours down with converters in our system, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more in a moment. So the development engines that are out there right now to develop for immersive technologies, two of the main ones, Unity is one of them, and then Unreal Engine, which is also owned by Epic Games, which is the owners of Fortnite. Unreal Engine is a very high level graphics program to develop experiences in virtual worlds. Unity is a very high-end developer as well for a lot of experiences that you see out there today. But the one platform that I'm going to talk to you about today is our MetaVRse engine. And the big difference between us and Unity and Unreal is that our engine is web enabled. We're also proud to be able to say that our programming language is low code and no code, but we also have the option to use JavaScript. The average learning curve for our program is about 2 to 4 weeks, and development times are literally cut into 75% less of time with our engine, with the ease of use. So introducing, obviously, our 3D engine for education and business. Basically, being able to develop and design these experiences, these 3D experiences within our engine to deploy for rapid prototyping or design, innovation, explanation, whatever you would like to do. There's a multitude of different offers to your presentations and creativity that can be done. Taking a look at this screen, if you want to do a quick screenshot, or you can look at this video a little bit later. This is a 2-minute video about our MetaVRse engine and the amount of potential that it has to be creative. I'm going to see if this one moves a little. This one should be okay. It's just about 1 minute, and it'll give you an overview of the MetaVRse engine. Great. So that's the MetaVRse engine. And I'm going to go through these slides really quickly so we can actually move over to the engine and we can take a look at it. And while I'm doing that, I can certainly take over, answer some of the questions that are popping up in the chat. So the MetaVRse engine is already showing 2.5 sales conversion and less time to information. This is an example of 3D instructions being done on a blood machine for Siemens, where we're actually presenting the training manual in augmented reality, and we're using the CAD design for the unit itself to display and then animate the different actions of it, so that this can go with the device itself around to the hospitals to use for its purpose. Product configurations. This, for example, here is that G-Wagon that I just told you about, but you know, being able to have 40% higher conversion rates in your sales because you can customize and see the vehicle up close and personal is really a transformation in using this technology. Doing product showcases. Imagine if you could put that couch into your place and see if it fit before you actually bought it. And that's leading to 3.5% fewer returns because people can see what it looks like in their space before they actually invest into something. Putting virtual showrooms anywhere and being able to configure them into the different model styles, colors, textures, backgrounds, whatever you wanted to use. This is where the benefits of virtual showrooms, you'll be able to deploy from anywhere. So this leads to rapid prototyping, and this is a huge thing when it comes to innovation during a time of exponential growth. So we're seeing 80% design time reduction, and that comes down to the creative process and being able to not only design, but build those configurators in there so that you can have the different options of what do you think of this way, or do you like it this way? And that's where you'll start to see the benefit of the 3D engine. Building in remote training and education, and that's going to reduce that training time. And this is an example of the solar system demo that you can try on our showcase page and get a little closer to see where the planets are. It's a great training tool just to learn about our universe. And connecting with IoT. So integrating with IoT sensors. We have a client that actually did integrate some of his systems into some monitoring equipment and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of potential for our engine to support those as well. Real-time analytics. This is one of our clients who actually attached a configurator real-time to understand the analytics of how many people were actually engaged in that experience. How many people were, you know, trying the shoes and changing them to red or instead of green. So he actually built built out a tracker in the back end using our system to build out those analytics. And that's huge when you want to learn a lot more about your customers and what kind of designs that they're interested in. So our engine is also OS browser device agnostic, works on all operating systems, browsers, devices, which is a really, you know, makes it a really powerful tool. And of course, we do have the ability to add JavaScript, but we are adding more and more code snippets to make it as easy as possible so that it becomes more and more drag and drop, less coding, low code, no code. Being able to have that available for everybody. So again, going to the MetaVRse engine, you'll come up to this page, or if you want to screenshot this or grab the QR code, it will pull you to any of these particular 3D demonstrations where you can put those into your space. So quickly there, to learn more, these are a bunch of different resources that I'd like to share on where I learn things about this industry and the applications and use cases, and just wanted to share those with you. And a couple more resources I want to touch on. This is the XR collaboration landscape, which actually came together just as COVID hit in April, and some great sponsors came together, and we built out a resource guide to help people learn how to collaborate online using immersive technologies. So if you go to xrcollaboration.com, you can download our 65-page resource guide to learn about how avatars, security, the devices that you need to use, digital presence, accessibility, how to do all of these things using remote collaboration, using VR or AR or mixed reality devices. So this was a really proud project of mine to be a part of, and to basically bring a collaboration of resources together from around the world to support remote collaboration. The directory itself hosts over 70 different platforms for you to choose from for the use case that you need, and our search filter allows you to make those selections, and then the services or the different platforms are offered there for you to take a look a little bit closer. So, so with that, I am going to flip over and talk about our new MetaVRse engine. And maybe Rajesh, should we field some questions right now? I'm going to stop my screen and yeah.
Yeah, Julie, if you look at the chat window, chat box, there are a few questions, and I think one of the first ones that came about is, just a moment, please. Yeah. So,
yeah, sure.
Yeah, it says, which IT companies have started this mixed reality, virtual reality, and XR? That's one of the first questions.
Oh, there's a lot of companies that have started. There's so many. Take a look at the collaboration platforms that are there. We're also looking to expand our resources to host the XR mind map to see what other companies that are out there. But there's a lot of people, there's a lot of great communities that are starting to build out resources and content towards business and education. Educators in VR is a great place to for many to learn from a teaching perspective and a developer's perspective to see where educators can help share that knowledge. So there's a lot of people out there that are doing this, and enterprises too. So
definitely. There's a question that says, is Nike your best partner for your company and business? Because you have taken many examples and products from Nike. Which language you have to learn to get job in MetaVRse or any company? Whoa, that's to the point.
Sure. It's funny because we came up with the Nike demonstration, and they actually reached out to us, and we're working on them to be a client, but they're very interested in the design that we made. It was purely a sourced model, but you don't need to learn a lot of coding languages now, but if you're going to learn any, then I would suggest JavaScript, and that's only because there's so many JavaScript developers out there. And with our system, and I hope you learned that you won't need to code too much. We'll be able to use the drag and drop. So yeah.
Yeah, so, before we take on the next question, this is, making me curious to ask you this. When you went on to study human resource and hospitality management, how did the transition happen for you personally? I'm sure you never thought you were going to do this while you were in college. So if you could just throw some more light on it to motivate all the participants.
Sure. And you know what? My apologies. Normally I do throw a little bit more history about myself, but I wasn't, sometimes it takes up a little bit of time. I have a very interesting background.
Best, but we couldn't resist, wanting to.
Sure. Sure. So back in 2010, my husband and I started a company called Smithson Martin, and we designed the world's first touchscreen DJ controller that was see-through. So if you're very interested, you can take a look at Emulator DJ. And we were part of the music scene, the electronic music scene to be exact. And yeah, started building out touchscreen technology back in 2010. And we did that for about 4 or 5 years. And from there, that's how my husband and partner got invited to Eric Schmidt from Google at the time, his Curiosity Camp. And Alan was there with Chris Milk at the time, and that's where he saw VR back in 2014 and said, this is the next wave of communications. We need to be a part of this industry. That was in 2014, and that was our journey into technology. We kind of just took the path from there, and I've learned ever since. So I didn't go to school. It's all been self-taught and being immersed in learning with others, learning from everybody else, especially students, and having their questions be addressed. I think they're the biggest source of my knowledge as well.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from the session, that, it's pretty much self-taught. You didn't go to any professional school or a course, and it's pretty much your personal motivation, self-driven, that helped you, take you where
Absolutely.
You It's wonderful. Great, wonderful, Julie. Let's look at some more questions.
Sure.
So Sam Saini asks, I wanted to ask that what kind of software are used in creating these creative and attractive 3D effects?
So I guess I do want to go over to the engine, because I can show you how you can do it too. And I guess while I'm pulling up my screen, maybe if we'll come back to that question. If Rajesh, if you want to see if there's anything else that we can just address quickly before moving on to the engine. Are you there?
Yep. I'm very much
there. Okay.
Sorry, my mic was muted for a second.
Okay, good. I thought I was the only one there for a second. All good. So you should be able to see my my engine page right here. Do you want to take any more questions, Rajesh, or should I jump over to the engine itself?
Yeah, I mean, so let me ask Dean Parthasar if he has some questions, because I know a lot of students are sending us personal messages on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Well. So,
Julie, you can go ahead with the engine. So at the end of the session, we can have the question and answer sessions.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, so here we go. So bear with me here, and I'm going to show you a little bit about the MetaVRse engine. The actual website is engine.metaverse.com. You too can go there and create a free account whenever you wish. There's obviously tiered levels, but there's education pricing in there as well. But let's start up, and what we're going to do today is we're going to create a brand new project. This page, once you log in, you can actually load a project that you've done before, or you can create a brand new one, or you can import one in. So remember when I talked about 3D assets, and this is the reason why, because everything in an immersive experience is made up of a 3D asset. So we're going to start a brand new project. And when you load up your first project in the MetaVRse engine, first of all, it's really good to have a mouse for this type of design. So this is now the dashboard of the MetaVRse engine. You can see there's a cube right in the middle. And if you can see my screen correctly, I'm pivoting it around. You can see the grid and each side of this cube, which we've put the MetaVRse logo on it. So just taking a little bit of a tour around our dashboard here. This is the button in the top left corners where you're going to save and load your project or export a brand new one or log out. This is where we're going to rename our project, and we're going to call it just Cube Chitkara right now. And then from here, these buttons here, this is actually your world. So you're 360 degrees. We won't get too much into the skybox right now. But when you talk about your world, you're talking about the 360 degrees that surround your entire scene. And right along here on the left-hand side, this button here will eventually work, but right here, this is how you add lights to your scene. And as you can see, when we scale out, you can see the sun in various different places. That is your light source. So as you can see, you've got one on the top, and then there's one on the bottom as well. That's a little bit deeper. It goes way down there, left and right. So this is where your lights are coming from. This is your video camera button here and we won't go too deep into that. That's a little bit different. And HUD, we'll talk about that as we add buttons into the interactivity of the configurations. And then if you're having different groups inside of your experience, say you have multiple different assets or groups of assets, then you would actually build out a little bit more of an architecture and put your objects in different group settings. So those are the buttons up here. Down here, this is your assets folder, and it's also along here, this side here at the very bottom. So when you highlight the asset itself, so I'm going to go in a little bit closer so you can see it. So we've got the cube, and when I highlight the one side, and if it's the top or the left or whichever one it is, for this particular one, it will outline here on the right-hand side the mesh that will be sitting on top of that particular side of the object itself. So in showing you a little bit more about what all of these meshes are and what they do, the first one that you have is the albedos. So albedos are actually textures that provide color to an object, just a base color, whatever the original color it is, or maybe you want to change that. But we can actually change this cube into a different color other than white. It can actually be red in the background. And we'll come back into a little bit more about the different things that affect the color as we come down here to the roughness. So the roughness textures change the reflectivity of the 3D object. So this is where you'll be able to start to influence a little bit more on how things look in changing the perspective of something that needs to have more textures of it being rough. So as you can see, I can adjust the numbers here. You can actually change the numbers here if you want to, or you can just use the sliders. So that's a little bit about the roughness. Now, the ambient occlusion, that basically provides textures. So when you're, lighting to shadows to the 3D object when you're adding lighting, so that you could, because the goal here is to provide as much realism to an object as possible. So, you know, using the lighting and the shadows and everything, this mesh inspector is how you're going to influence the perspective of that particular object. The metalness is another one that really influences how metallic and shiny something is. So here, let's see if we can we're adjusting the metalness in this, and it really goes a little bit deeper. I'm going to load up a brand new project so we'll be able to see this a little bit closer. But the metalness and then the opacity, you know, how transparent a 3D object is can affect, you know, something that's made with glass. And, you know, in this case, this side is made of wood. So, you know, we have the roughness of the wood in this side that we can influence, you know, how rustic does it look? We don't want to add the shine to it. We need to make sure it's as dull as possible or as shiny as possible if it's got a slick shine finish on it. So the mesh inspector here on this side is really the key to building out textures on objects and making them as real as possible. So that's a little bit about our dashboard. Just a few other buttons to show you. Here, I'm going to zoom out for a second and away from the sun. Up here on the right-hand side, this is kind of your set button. And whenever you are not sure about where you are, just resetting your camera brings you back to center axis. And if you wanted to move your axis here, you would grab and you can slide it up or down in the scene. And you can obviously move it forward and back. And then this side as well, left and right. And then going into the position of where that cube is in that space, you can influence here with rotation and scale and pivoting in which angle you want it to, face. And then of course, taking out the grid itself allows you to have a full scene in however you wish. So let's see if, I'm not sure if this one has a skybox. Let's see if it does. No, it didn't. So,
skybox onto the world control.
Oh, onto the world control. Yeah, hold on 2 seconds. Yeah, I did. Oh, that's why. I've got all my eyes, my info's on.
Click world. Click world. Click the world.
Yeah.
And on the right hand side.
That's okay. I'm gonna move on to the next project in a second because I'd like to load up a project right from the start. So that's just to give you a little bit more about the dashboard. I'm going to close this and we're going to load a brand new project because I want to show you how it looks to load in a brand new project that we're going to work with, and we're going to call this the yellow robot. Yeah, I know I am. Sorry, hold on 2 seconds. My computer's catching up here. No, it's not. Okay, just give me 2 seconds. I might have to do these one at a time here.
No problem.
Just give me a second. It's just importing these files. So when I downloaded the yellow robot, it comes with an FBX file, and then it comes with the different texture files. So just give me a second. Need to reset this project here. Okay, let's try this one again. There we go. Okay. Great. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a new folder, and we're going to change it to yellow robot, and then oops. go, and import the files. So I think there was 5 of them there, and they're going to be down here on the left-hand side. Here are all of the files that I just loaded, and you can also now see them here on the bottom. We've got the albedos, and I've got there the logo. You'll see what I'm going to do with the Chitkara University logo. We've got the metalness, the roughness, normals, and the actual FBX file. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take, hold on just a second, there we go. So we're going to take the FBX and we're going to drop it into our scene. And here we go. So this is our yellow robot arm, and as you can see, it's not yellow yet, so we're going to need to fix that. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to slide this up a little bit on the plane so it sits up here. Okay, so technically it's flat on the ground, it's not sitting below. So I can actually turn off the arrows in the middle if you want to take that away. But anytime you want to see which axis you're on and where you're at, just the right-hand side at the top is where you need to go. So when it comes to adding textures to this particular asset, we need to add the colors and the metalness and everything. So over here on the right-hand side, you have your meshes, and you have your root of the asset, which is the entire thing. And then it actually breaks it up into different pieces. So the way that this project was sent to us was in different asset packages for different pieces of the robot arm, right down to the very, very end where there's an actual pin. Okay. In the second tab over here, you've got your root, and then you've got the material of the root. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click on that, and then we're going to take the albedos, and we're going to drag those over here into the right-hand side and give it some color. So you can see that we've added the base color of the yellow robot to make it look yellow enough. But we do need to add the rest of the texture files to make it look as real as possible. So right here on the bottom, and also up over here on the left-hand side, you can take the metalness and you can take it and you can drag the metalness over here. So now let's take a closer look at our object. And you can see, and I'm going to open up the metalness slider so you can see the effects of the metalness and how they change, making it look as real as possible. Okay, so let's finish adding the rest of the textures. Let's take the roughness, and we're going to drag the roughness over here. And the roughness actually allows it to have a little bit more reflection, believe it or not. A little bit shiny for an industrial appliance, but we can adjust those numbers too. And you can see when I go into the roughness, it makes it dull, or it actually enhances the actual lighting that is around it in the skybox. So last but not least, we need our normals, and the normals to me are they're really tricky to kind of see why we need normals, but once you see them, it's really kind of important. So I'm going to take our normals on the bottom here and drag them, and really normals actually build that final texture to an item to make it look as real as possible. You can see just here at the top how there was like little shades built in there, and that makes it look dirty. It actually gives it that realism texture. This is where the normals come in. So as an artist and creating a 3D asset for a particular project, design for business or education, making something real as possible is really the key here. And being able to add all of these different textures to influence the design and what it looks like is really the most important component. So one of the things that I do want to show you within this within this application, it actually came with an animation which can be embedded into it. And for this particular robot, it does just a few simple steps, but you can actually add the code snippet to be able to add the animation of the arm and deploy that. So that's a little bit about animations, but that's certainly possible in the MetaVRse engine. The next quick part I'd like to just show you is the use of configurations and being able to change things out and design things with the possibility of a different perspective. So let's do this. First of all, I'm actually going to shrink it down just a little bit. And what we're going to do is go over here on the left-hand side and we're going to create a configurator. So this is our new configuration. And we want to do a configuration for one of the pieces to change their color. So right now I've entered the configuration mode. And what I need to do right now is identify which piece we want to build the configuration for. So I've selected this piece right here. And if we go to the albedos, I can actually change that color to red. And you can see that it's changed to red. So we turn it around, the rest of the pieces, they're all the same color, but I've added red to that component. I'm gonna click here and exit out of the configuration mode, and then come back and add a HUD. And this HUD is what's going to basically identify the difference between the piece being red or yellow. So this HUD right here appears right in the middle of your screen, and you basically need to move it over a little bit into a different position. So on the right-hand side, I'm gonna move it over, let's go, actually a little bit too far. We're gonna go 900. Let's just hope that stays in the picture, but what we're going to do now is this button, which is going to become a little bit magical for us here. We're going to add an image on there to allow it to have a little bit of character. And this is where I'm going to take the Chikara logo and, oops, hold on. There we go. So as you can see, I've put the Chikara University logo on the HUD button, which is actually going to be the button that's going to change this from the red to yellow. And then from there, what I need to do is I need to add the configuration code snippet. So here on the right-hand side, what I want to do is add the code snippet for the configuration here. So on the left-hand side where it says JS, and it doesn't just mean Julie Smithson, it means JavaScript. We're going to take the object button controller and download that there. It's going to show up in your hierarchy here, and we're going to drag that over into the code button on the right-hand side. What we're also going to do is we're going to take our configuration. Oh, hold on 2 seconds. No, I got to leave that there. And I have to add the configuration to this side. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to hit preview, and let's see if this works. And if it does, then you'll be able to try it too. So, okay, so my button didn't quite work, so I need to figure out why. Maybe I can get some, yeah, I must have missed something here. Hold on 2 seconds. Yeah, my HUD button isn't working. Sorry, I'm just getting technical support. Stand by.
No problem.
See if that works this time. It was there. Okay, is it, we're gonna, oh, there we go. It did work. Yeah, I just had the wrong, I clicked on it wrong. Thank you. It's nice to have technical support nearby. So as you can see, this button now, which is a HUD, has changed the configuration of this piece of the robot from yellow to red. You see that? So what I'm going to do is now, I actually think this might not be close enough to the object, because if I put it here, oops, 50. Okay, let's see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to publish this. And if you take this QR code with your own devices right now, you should be able to see the robot in your space, so or at least on your phone or your device. So maybe somebody can give me a thumbs up that they can actually see that. That would be a great win for me.
Guys, you can give thumbs up if you can see it, so that'll be great.
So yeah, if there's anybody out there that can tell me that that worked, that would be great. So that's basically our engine. It's as easy as that. Publishing it, just as I said, you can publish it to QR code. You can publish it to Android, iOS, or if you want to embed it on the web. And we have VR coming soon. You can take a look at our roadmap is actually listed on our website, so you can see the features that are upcoming. But that's it. And those links are available now 3D on web on your device, on your smartphone, or and you can implement them into a website. You can implement them into a marketing campaign or web campaign. Even my daughter, she created a QR code to go with an experience that she was working with, and it gives it a new meaning to how 3D becomes part of these experiences and engagements. So yeah.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, Julie, I think, and this also answered a couple of questions that were there.
Okay.
People asked what's the use of
Really, before that, Rajesh, sorry to interrupt you. Before that, I could able to see that in the 3D space.
You can or you can't?
Yeah, I can.
Yes, thank you. That's great. So yeah, there's it's great to know.
So the software is really making it very easy rather than taking multiple steps with the help of Unity. And I have worked for both Unity and Unreal. It would take some lots of creation process, lot of knowledge put inside, lot of programming inside. But the engine, MetaVRse engine, has really made the things more easier to do with those who are in a layman perspective with the AR and VR could able to create their own stuff. And I think this would be free of cost for the software to acquire.
There's a free user base up until a certain point, and then when you want to, you can start to customize it, and that's where it goes into different levels. But we also have education pricing as well.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
So this question is to Dean Parthasarathy. You think how do you think the students would respond to using the MetaVRse engine? What is your take on it?
No, mine is it's a 100% go ahead, because with related to the Unity software and the Unreal software, it takes a bit of time, and also both Unity and Unreal are working on non-coding as a visual coding or something like that. So MetaVRse has come inside very soon to release work with the 3D and all those things. Even if you see the other software like visual coding like Connect and Scratch, that doesn't have a 3D at all. It deals only with the 2D. So in that case, yes, MetaVRse will go very long with coming up with a lot of versions and ideas put inside.
Wonderful. Okay, we have very few minutes left, and I wouldn't want Julie to go for another cup of coffee. I don't think
that's okay. That's all right.
Go on to some other questions that I see very relevant. One of my colleagues is asking, what would be the future of textbooks? Can MetaVRse engine be used to create innovative textbooks content? What do you think, Julie?
Sure. So I'm a firm believer of the fact that we have to change our education, the way that we're teaching it today, and even a lot of the content that we're teaching it today. But we can't forget our history, and that's where, you know, it sits and resides in a lot of these old textbooks and curriculum and content that's out there. And this is where we're going to start to see a hybrid of that old content and digitization of new content that comes in, and using 3D and augmented reality to engage in that textbook lesson about history by, you know, having the Great Wall of China appear, you know, right in front of you, and to see how long it can, you know, how long it really is, or to take you away to a certain place, or just add some statistics or a 3D asset model of something that you're trying to learn about. So you'll start to see a hybrid of these technologies. You won't see a disappearance of text too soon, I hope, but you know, with the generation today, everything is immediate on the devices, and that's where 3D will start to engage a lot more with any of the 2D paperwork that's been out there in the past.
Okay, great. One more interesting question that comes up here is, so what do you think, could this be used by architects to show virtual homes? Do you think that's a possibility?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is a technology for every company. Data visualization is going to be not only important for the actual design of the building, but also the insides of the building, all of the plumbing and the electrical, the furnace systems, and being able to have that CAD drawing in 3D and be able to measure that up against the actual build will be, you know, will reduce those errors during construction that are so costly. And that's already being seen in projects where the CAD drawings are put into a visualization software, and you know, putting on a headset so you can actually see that wall, and you know, where those pipes come down that, you know, this particular point, do they match up with the rest of the, you know, the vac system that is supposed to be connected to it. So there's absolutely applications for our architecture. If you think of any subject that is spatially that can be designed spatially or designed in 3D, then it most likely can be. And CAD drawings are really the start of it. And being able to import CAD drawings, that's actually on our roadmap to be able to import those in. And we're starting to do some testing on a lot of them right now. So it's exciting, because that's where you'll start to get these CAD files, like you got the robot, but imagine getting a CAD file for, you know, the university building with all of the, you know, electrical and fire systems and, you know, water pipes and everything attached to it. And that's what we'll start to work with, and visualize, being able to visualize that in 3 dimensions will be immensely powerful.
Absolutely. It's going to be definitely quite immense.
Mm-hmm.
With your permission, Julie, could we quickly take the last couple of questions?
Of course, yes. Please go ahead. It's okay. You've got me. I'm awake.
So there's one question which is quite interesting. It says, how come with the scan of QR code, we model a shoe, or for that matter, anything?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think, you know, it comes back to accessibility of the technology and how we are naturally starting to use this technology. The QR code came out a long time ago, and now it's starting to reappear again. We started using it, but we started seeing some other people starting to use it, and being able to just open your camera and, you know, scan this code that automatically pulls out a 3D object or experience right in front of you. It reduces any of the steps in there to, you know, go into an app and to go into this and to go into this. And QR codes are now an instant, absolute instant transaction, really, of connectivity. And that's what users want. We need to kind of adhere to that demand, and the QR code skips that whole level of figuring out what website to go to and what download to make and that sort of thing. So you'll start to see a lot more of QR codes. So if you learn more about them, then you'll learn how to. My 10-year-old, she came to me the other day and provided a QR code. She goes, "Look, Mom, I made a QR code for our Wi-Fi access. So when guests come in, they just have to scan the QR code and they get access into our Wi-Fi. And I was like, wow, that's great. So just an example of how QR codes are already appealing to younger ages to be able to access information quickly and knowing how to pass that information on to others.
Just reconfirming, did you say your 10-year-old daughter?
She's 12, sorry, 12.
Yes. Wow, that's amazing. Wonderful.
The
Okay.
question which Rajesh asked now was what that was from my daughter.
Okay. I see the name now. How interesting. Okay. There's one more question which says, have you ever taken a 3D printout and like for any of your projects? And if not, why? That's the question.
Sorry, taking a 3D printer? Is that what you just said?
Have you ever taken a 3D print out, like a 3D printout and of any of your projects?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I haven't yet. I believe that can be done because you can export it as a file. I'll have to get back to you on that with regards to 3D printing. But yeah, it's I'm sure it's possible. But I'll have to get back to you on that one.
If not, then that would be in your next version.
Yes, absolutely. It's probably in the roadmap. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for that, Manshit. You have given a great idea for Julie. If it is not, she will be adding that, in her metaverse.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Julie, one question quickly before we go ahead. What potential do you see in India, the young entrepreneurs, students working here? What are the possibilities ahead? And where do you think you can plug in what you're doing now into it?
Sure. So I think, first of all, there's so many possibilities for everyone. It's a new time. It's it's a brand new era of, and absolutely roles in enterprise right now. That gives me the great opportunity at XR Bootcamp to learn about what enterprise is looking for in skill sets and how to talk about them. We're looking for 3D modelers and designers and project managers and VR developers and AR developers. There's a whole bunch of different roles out there that are obviously a lot more digitized. So I think just being able to learn consistently about this technology, finding your passion in this technology and what industry you want to be in. Every industry is going to be a technology industry. So if you want to be in technology, it'll be in every industry. So find out which industry you want to be a part of and figure out how to transform and use these technologies to help innovate solutions. Right now, the digital transformation stage is on a rapid scale. It's not slowing down anytime soon. Enterprise right now is actually screaming for XR talent out there to join their teams. Everything from Accenture to Volkswagen to Deutsche Telekom. There's companies at the highest levels that are scaling out teams, but not just enterprise companies. It's also small businesses and organizations that need to transform as well. With COVID, and I talked about this earlier, is, we are now bound with, for a long time in the future to work a lot more with remote tools. And we need to use these immersive technologies to start to communicate with each other. And this is why 3D is going to start to make a huge play in how we rapidly prototype our ideas and come up with solutions. So, I think to come back to the answer, where does India place in this? I think, everybody's got a place in developing innovative solutions for different purposes, whether it be a community challenge or maybe it's a global challenge. One of the things that I like to share is, right now, education is really struggling from many different levels, just from the access itself, and then the transformation of content and hybrid of the digitization of the curriculum that's out there. And I think right now, any school that takes on, just adopting the 3D learning method and being able to create solutions, you know, even for Jakarta University, you know, figuring out what courses do we have right now, which ones are more spatial than others, how can we take this technology using maybe the MetaVRse engine, but maybe it's something more powerful like Unreal Engine, but taking the MetaVRse engine with its rapid prototyping stage and being able to introduce little lessons that engage you with 3D and augmented reality, and helping build those lessons for the next year of students to use those solutions. So I think there's a hackathon in there somewhere that could be a part of building solutions for the university itself, or maybe, you know, other passions of that need solutions all around. So, yeah.
So I must mention here that we have a strong culture of hackathon. University students quite actively participate in national and international events, hackathon. So yeah, thank you for that insight.
Yeah.
Dean Parthasarathi, you have some thoughts before we go on towards the closing?
Julie, like it was really a wonderful session that, you know, you have taken the AR, VR to the next stage, and you have entered into the market at the right time. You know, if I actually need to say, because many of them wanted to convert into AR, VR, MR, and XR, and again they are stuck with the platforms and devices and everything. But the MetaVRse engine would really give a breakthrough for all these things, where, you know, the person who are really wanted to explore into MR and XR, they have to go through a studies of Unity and Unreal, take some time, understand, and also if they know coding only, they could be able to get into it. That again takes a long process. So that, you know, making understanding Unity and Unreal, if it is gonna take 6 months of time, then getting to know about the coding, again it will take a 6 months of time. So it will be a continuously a 1 year of process. But whatever you and Alan and join together has come out with this product is really, really awesome. You know,
well, thank you so much.
That I'll say a big bravo for it. And I would first like to thank Alan, because initially I contacted Alan for this, and he said, no, I'm not the right person, but Julie would be the right person for this, to go ahead with for the session. And you know, it was a wonderful session, and it was, you know, a lot of knowledge which I have. You know, I'm getting more of ideas and thoughts. You know, soon I will be interacting with you through the WhatsApp to develop more, you know, what we can do with the MetaVRse engine. And
that's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot for, you know, giving your valuable time and you know, midnight awaking and giving a lecture to the students. And
no
the students,
problem.
100% they have grabbed a lot of information from you.
Wonderful. Well, it's my pleasure to be here, and you know, love to stay in touch. And I'm actually going to be working on a hackathon model of our MetaVRse engine to inspire, just as I was saying, you know, inspiring your students to start thinking about what solutions can they build within their own communities, within their own passion, and you know, being able to rapidly and creatively innovate using 3D. It's a brand new way of thinking. It's a brand new way of teaching. Everybody has to learn it. We need to learn it at every single level as 3D learning, which we were never taught before. So just thinking spatially, it just gives a brand new perspective, and there's so much that can be done with digitization. So it's an exciting time, but lots to learn.
Yes. Yes.
And I would also like to take this opportunity, Julie, to perhaps not perhaps, but definitely invite you to the university in person, along with your family. You know,
thank you. Yes, one day. I hope soon we can travel again.
Let me add this, since music was quite instrumental in leading into what you're doing. My generation grew up on Alanis Morissette and Bryan Adams, but let me tell you.
So did I, but then I moved into the EDM scene.
The Carlo Leo and Drake are very popular. Even the Kiki Challenge got very popular in this part of the world. So yes.
Amazing.
Yes. So we look forward to have you here, and looking forward to greater collaborations and association working together and show that.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. Please reach out if you have any questions, and it was a pleasure and honor for me to be able to present today. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Likewise. Thank you and good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.